Guess we'll see what this stand is made of.
Check, 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 check. Test, 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 test.
Oh, what'd you do?
That's separate.
It's just theirs now.
Oh.
Turn this back to the.
Is everyone okay now? We just switched the mics, but it's only for our live stream. It's not for these guys. All right, we all good?
All right. All this fussing just for me. I appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome you to Tavern on George in New Brunswick on this beautiful fall day. The last year and a half has been a very challenging one for the restaurant industry. Here at Tavern on George, we are very proud to have remained open to customers and kept our staff fully employed during the COVID-19 pandemic. We could not have done this without two things: outdoor dining, where you're sitting right now, and the Sustain and Serve NJ program. So first, I would like to thank our mayor, Jim Cahill, for his proactive leadership in expanding outdoor dining regulations for our city, allowing us to operate our restaurant and continue to employ musicians as an outdoor live music venue. Thank you. But restaurants can't survive on Friday and Saturday nights alone. With more people working from home, our weekday business decreased significantly. Through the Sustain and Serve program, we were able to partner with Soup Kitchen 411 to provide regular meals to Elijah's Promise in New Brunswick, Carteret Senior Services, and Hands of Hope in Edison. To date, we have served over 10,000 meals, with 300 going out tomorrow. I need to take a moment to recognize our chef Adolfo, manager Tom, logistics specialist Henry, and our entire team for all their hard work in making sure that these meals went out to hot and delicious. So thank you to them. This grant program has been critical to our ability to help our staff, keep our staff employed, all while providing meals to fellow New Jersey residents in need. And we're really talking about real people here. There's people standing here, sitting here right now today who kept their jobs due to this program and due to the proactive leadership of Governor Phil Murphy and his administration. Now, before I welcome him to the podium, I let Governor know that in addition to being known for our live music and being the home of the New Brunswick Jazz Project, we're also known for our house-made donuts. So we have a whole spread inside. After the event today, please, folks, come in and grab a donut. You can't leave Tavern on an empty stomach. So please join me in welcoming Governor Phil Murphy.
Thank you, Matt. Thanks, buddy. I have seen the donuts with my own eyes, and they look really good. So I hope you all take Matt up on his offer to get inside and partake. Treat to be here. A lot of microphones up here today. Thank you, Matt, for that introduction and for welcoming us here. Where'd Matt go? I can't. Oh, there you go, in the back. To the Tavern on George, a really great place inside. We had a nice little chat with your team indoors, so keep up the great work. We brought some other hungry folks with us today. The CEO of the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, Tim Sullivan, is with us, and amen. And his colleague, the EDA's Executive Vice President for Economic Security, which I love that position and that title, Tara Colton, is with us. Tara, great job. I also want to acknowledge the aforementioned and dear friend, Mayor Jim Cahill. Jim, thank you for hosting us. Thank you for your extraordinary leadership of this iconic American community, never mind New Jersey community. I also want to give a shout out to Commissioner Clara Escona Barber and Surrogate Clarabelle Cortez. So thank you, ladies, for being here as well. Matt mentioned Hands of Hope Food Pantry in Edison, and I got a huge shout out from Commissioner Charlie Tomorrow, who was on the board of Hands of Hope, I think, for the past 20 years, and said the work you guys have done at Tavern on George is off the charts. So, Matt, it's an independent validation from someone who knew I was going to be here today. So throughout the pandemic, from the darkest early days to our continued recovery, our administration has been keenly aware of the impacts that it's had on our small business and nonprofit community organizations, especially the food banks and other organizations fighting food insecurity. And in each instance, we have been fully engaged in getting relief directly into their hands. As I've said many times, strong small businesses are what help turn Main Street, the street into Main Street, the community hub. And there are few businesses which have this ability to bring neighbors and friends together better than our restaurants and bars. We know all too well that the pandemic has been especially hard on them. The simple fact is that most restaurants in New Jersey aren't chains with a corporate parent able to make up for losses. These are more often single location establishments where a restaurateur has invested not just their heart and soul, but also their savings. We know the early steps we had to take to slow the virus had a tremendous impact on our restaurants. And even now, when all of our restrictions have been lifted, with both regulars and new customers coming in, many are still working hard just to get back up to par. This is where the EDA has been so critical in pulling up a chair to help. One of the most innovative programs the EDA has put together, by the way, anywhere in the country, never mind just this state, was the Sustain and Serve New Jersey program, which provided grants not to restaurants only, but to community-based nonprofits who in turn use those funds to buy meals from restaurants in their communities to distribute to families facing food insecurity. These partnerships have been the ultimate win-win. Our restaurants were able to cook up great meals, and families in need were able to get a good meal. And we are here at the Tavern on George because this is one of those restaurants, as Matt has mentioned. Bird's coming through. He voted for me, by the way. That's why we allowed him in. Through its first, I did very well with the bird vote. Through its first two funding phases, totaling nearly $35 million, Sustain and Serve has been a game changer. From March through October, you ready for this? More than 400 restaurants plated up well more than 1.9 million meals. And current orders project, it's unbelievable, Jim, that another 1.5 million will come off of stoves and out of ovens in restaurants across the state between now and the end of upcoming January. So today, which is why we're here, we're announcing that Sustain and Serve New Jersey will enter a third phase, putting another $10 million in American Rescue Plan funds into the hands of dedicated community nonprofits and restaurant partners. There are still too many families facing food insecurity, and there are too many restaurants still working hard, as Matt said, to keep their ovens hot and their doors open. This new round for Sustain and Serve New Jersey is going to help further close the gap in both of these critical areas. By the way, I should remind everybody that Sustain and Serve New Jersey is just a part of the full package of support that the EDA has put forward. These grants and loans, alongside other technical assistance programs, currently total nearly $700 million in direct relief to thousands of small businesses and countless main streets. And this number keeps growing. Looking across the nation, we rank third among all American states in how much grant relief we have distributed to small businesses during the pandemic. This is something in which we take tremendous pride, and as we witnessed today, there's more coming. And today we have a simple message to our small businesses, not just our restaurants, but also our retail shops, our salons, everyone who, as I said, helps turn a downtown into a welcoming community. We are not going to stop now. So thank you for having us, and thanks for coming out, everybody. It's now my pleasure to introduce the Chief Executive Officer of the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, Tim Sullivan.
Thank you, Governor. What if I say something interesting? Thank you, Governor, for the kind introduction, and much more importantly, thank you for the allocation of the funding to continue this great work. It is such an honor and a treat to be with you this week in particular to announce the continuation of this great work and this great program and so many other things that we're going to keep working on. Mayor, always great to be with you. Always great to be in New Brunswick. What a great city. As the governor said, I think this is a really important announcement for a few reasons. One, it continues the governor's comprehensive commitment to supporting small businesses through this pandemic. We know that small businesses have had a hell of an 18 months, and hopefully we're coming through it and the worst of the pandemic's behind us, but that that struggle continues because of people choosing to stay home and people still working from home, and as Matt described, diminished business from foot traffic. We're now approaching almost 90,000 small businesses that have been supported through EDA programs in the last 18 months, 90,000 across the state, across our grant programs, our loan programs, Sustain and Serve, some of our other programs. And so we're thrilled to be able to continue this work on this really innovative program. The second thing I'd mention is I think this is a really great example of how we think about, and the governor was just describing this inside, how we think about innovative government programs and thinking about how we start with some, start small, pilot, learn, and then scale things from there. This program started last fall with a relatively small amount of money, $2 million, not nothing, but $2 million. And we said we think there's an interesting model here. We think that there's, as the governor described, restaurants that need business and people who need food. And can we design a mousetrap that can bring that together? But we weren't quite sure how to do it. So we put two really smart people on it, Tara Colton and Emily Apple, who are here today, in great partnership with the governor's office and lots of other colleagues throughout government, to say, let's try and work on this. Let's figure this out. Let's see if it works. Let's see if we can come up with a model that works. And here we are later. Here we are, $45 million later, 4.5 million total meals, 400 restaurants across the state in all 21 counties, connecting people who need a great meal with restaurants that need the business. We've heard the story we heard from Matt inside and just at the podium a minute ago. And Tara and Emily and I have heard, I'm sure the governor's heard, in countless situations all throughout the state. Businesses that were able to keep their employees on staff, keep their kitchens busy even when foot traffic wasn't there. And so what a great win-win to leverage these dollars to create not just an opportunity for small business, not just an opportunity for people who need food to get a decent meal, but to do both. And so what a great win-win. And so, again, thrilled to be able to continue this work, thrilled to be able to put $10 million more into this great program, and we're excited to get that work underway. Thank you. Am I introducing Tara?
Yeah, why not?
It's my honor to bring up my great friend and great colleague, Tara Colton, Executive Vice President for, as the governor noted, economic security, which is a really important part of our work at the EDA, thinking about not just businesses, but people and how we help people get to and maintain economic security. Tara Colton.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Governor, Mayor. I also, again, want to thank and acknowledge Emily Apple from the EDA team, who is the heart and soul of Sustain and Serve. As Tim said, we've seen Sustain and Serve expand beyond our wildest dreams, from a $2 million pilot to $45 million in funding, which is really a testament to the strength of the program model, which is simple but very impactful. But it also speaks to the scale of food insecurity in our state. Hunger in New Jersey was always hiding in plain sight, but COVID really laid it bare. Huge numbers of New Jerseyans, including many children, don't know where their next meal is coming from. So for me, this program always comes back to dignity, that the things that so many of us take for granted show what those 4.5 million meals really represent. So with Sustain and Serve, the meals that we provide, the meals that you cook, the broccoli and chicken and rice that you were telling me about earlier, it helps our neighbors feed their families, but it also sends a message that they deserve to eat well. They deserve a hot, fresh, homemade, nutritious meal. And they're receiving the meals from an incredible network of organizations in their communities that they trust and they rely on. So the quality of the meals and the dignity and the respect that it offers really shows that a meal represents so much more than just a meal. So we're incredibly excited to continue to grow the Sustain and Serve model as part of our broader toolkit to combat food insecurity and address food deserts throughout the state, including EDA's work to implement the Food Desert Relief Act, which was championed by Speaker Coughlin and signed into law by the governor as part of the Economic Recovery Act earlier this year. So with Sustain and Serve and those new food desert programs under the governor's leadership, EDA will be dedicating more than $250 million in resources to tackle the complex and intersecting issues of food insecurity, access, and affordability. So while these issues are longstanding and they don't have easy answers, the programs like Sustain and Serve really equip us to truly address food insecurity at a systemic level and solidify our commitment and the governor's commitment to building communities that are stronger, fairer, and fed. Thank you.
Tara, thank you for that, and thank you, Emily, as well, who I neglected to mention. I also have a dear friend, Jeff Towers is here. Jeff, great to have you here. A dear friend, big supporter of Rutgers, and I say that because he and I will both be meandering over shortly to, and Jim Cahill will join us to witness, I guess it's an investiture, right, of Rutgers President Jonathan Holloway. And you may ask yourself rightfully, hasn't he been president for a while? And the answer is yes, yet another example of what the pandemic has done for us. So I think we're at the rack, am I right? Looking forward to being there with you. So thank you, Tara. Thank you, Tim, and the whole team. And again, I want to thank Matt and his team at this great spot. Shameless commercial. Tavern on George, folks, if you're watching at home, come by, have some of those donuts. Maybe wash it down with a nice Pilsner. I'm not sure how that would work over, but this is an extraordinary program, and thank you for leading on it. We'll take a couple of questions. I know they'll be on topic. Matt.
How do you respond to Senator Sweeney's loss? And candidly, given your sometimes fraught relationship with the Senate President, are you at all relieved to be maybe working with somebody else?
To the contrary, I'm stunned. He and I spoke yesterday. We had exchanged texts in the wee small hours of I guess, Wednesday morning and Wednesday midday, but he and I spoke yesterday. I'm stunned. This guy who is apparently winning is a dangerous guy. Matt and I, Dan and I were talking about his Twitter feed. I think it's his Twitter feed or Facebook. The stuff that's on there is outrageous. And I want to be unequivocal. I do not welcome this in any way, shape, or form. Steve has been a great partner, particularly over the past sort of 2.5 years. But at every step of the way, we've gotten a ton done together. And no matter how good an idea we have, or Tim or Tara and I, you need legislative leadership. And Steve has been outstanding. As has Craig, by the way. He sends his best wishes. I meant to say that, Tara. He wanted to be here and could not. But Craig Coughlin and Steve and I have had a really, really good rhythm. I'm very bummed, and he deserves the space that he needs to kind of revote. And I have my fingers crossed, and I bemoan if it comes out the wrong way. I bemoan it. Please, Meg, is that you? I'm good. Yeah, I mean, yes and no in terms of your premise, Meg. I mean, first of all, record number of votes for gubernatorial, and that's a good thing. And I like the fact that early voting in person contributed to that. It'll end up being, about 7 or 8% of the vote when all is said or done. That number is only going to go up going forward. That was a huge, good, smart step we took collectively. Listen, I have sort of two reactions. Thank God we did all the stuff we did, because it allowed us to withstand this red wave that swept over a lot of folks, including around the country. So I think had we not had a lot of programs and steps taken for both that stronger and fairer New Jersey that we're in pursuit of, it might have washed over us. And secondly, there's a lot of people out there we still need to touch. Quite clearly, there's a lot of hurt, a lot of people screaming out, basically saying, I need help. And I need government to step in because no one else is stepping in. And we get that. We understand that. And we're committed to broadening, the stronger, fairer that works for everyone, not just some. It's quite clear we need more people on that everyone list, and I'm committed to that. Daniel. Yeah, I don't view, on the first question, no. And by the way, you stand with people you believe in and choose to stand alongside, whether you think you take a political hit for that or not. It never even occurred to me. In fact, the president wasn't here for politics. Tell me, what's controversial about expanding pre-K and christening a bridge that's replacing one that's 111 years old? We'll do that 10 out of 10 times. And no, I don't buy this. I've said from moment one, we're pragmatic, pro-growth progressives, stronger and fairer. The question, Daniel, implies that all we focus on is fairer, and I'm proud of a lot of things we've done there, including this program, raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour, equal pay for equal work, funding Planned Parenthood, you name it. But I'll tell you, I'm also as proud, and Tim Sullivan is right up to his eyeballs in this, the stronger part means growing the economy. and we're equally committed. So no, we're not changing. We didn't change our stripes in 17 when we won the primary and came to the general. We didn't change between the general and the in governing, and we're not going to change now. But I will, back to Meg's question, we clearly need to touch more people. We need to get at more kitchen tables. There are too many people. What I take away from this is a lot of hurt out there, which we knew, but it's a big group of folks who are screaming out for help, and I want to be the administration that gives them that help, please. Listen, New Jersey historically has had gubernatorial elections that have gone one way or the other. That's just as a regular reality in New Jersey. You've seen it in our lifetimes with Governor Kane. You've seen it with Governor Whitman, Governor Christie. That happens. I'm fortunate enough. I'm the first Democrat to repeat after 44 years, which I'm proud of. I'm told I'm the first in a long time. Maybe, yeah, thank you. Head of my New Brunswick campaign operation over here. I love you. You're up next, by the way. Stay here and we'll get you up. Say some nice things about me. But I'm told by the team that I'm the first governor in a long time that's won not just back-to-back, but gotten over 50% twice in a row. And I'm proud of that. Please. Sorry, I'll get to you. I apologize. Go ahead.
This question is from Alex.
Do I have to answer it?
On election night, you said we're going to wait until every vote is counted, but why did you declare victory?
Why did I what?
Like you said, you were going to wait until every vote is.
Oh, and why do we declare victory? Hey, man. So listen, the gold standard of calling elections is Associated Press. They called it, and I think almost immediately thereafter, New York Times called it, CBS called it, ultimately NBC called it. When everybody calls an election, and there are institutions that are viewed as gold standards, that's your signal that you can step up and say, I declare victory. I've been bouncing past you. I haven't given it a whole lot of thought. I think we get the legislative leadership situation settled, and I'll look forward to sitting down with legislative leadership sooner than later, obviously. Again, I'm not, I think I've proven this, I don't change my stripes. But again, I want to come back to Meg's initial question. I care deeply about the folks out there who are screaming out clearly in protest or for whatever, however you want to describe it, that it's not working for them. And I commit that we will be there for not just whether you voted for me, but for everybody. I think with that, we're gonna Charlie, we'll get you after it. So you asking a local question? Okay, what's real quick?
Yes, there were widespread problems with election usage on Tuesday. Can you tell us how many counties were affected? What % of polling places were open and ready to serve the public on time? And has the state identified what equipment was responsible for the failure?
We'll probably end up giving you the answer offline with specifics, but the premise of there were widespread issues is not a good premise. The fact of the matter is that's not true. There were situations, I know there were a couple of communities, Jim, in Middlesex County, Middlesex Borough was one of them, I know, where there were issues, but they were not widespread and they were addressed quite quickly. In terms of how many and what the exact equipment was, we'll come back to you. Thank you. I want to thank Matt and his team, our mayor, the elected officials, to each and every one of you. Great to be in New Brunswick on this beautiful day, and go sustain and serve New Jersey. Thank you, everybody.